If I could welcome everybody to the regular scheduled meeting of the City Planning Commission, Thursday, April 25th, 2013, Van Nuys City Hall, Council Chambers. Very happy to have you all with us this morning. My name is William Roshan. I'm president of the LA City Planning Commission. To my right, Vice President Virginia Freer. To her right, Commissioners Diego Cardoso, Dana Perlman. To my left, Commissioner Robert Lesson. We are all volunteers and are very happy to be with you here this morning. Thank you for being with us. We know you're giving up your day as well. And there's two opportunities for you to speak today in the way we conduct the hearing. The first opportunity, if you look at your agenda, is under public comment period. The second opportunity would be under any agendized item. In public comment, you can speak on any issue that this commission has jurisdiction over, except for items on the agenda. For those, you must, of course, sign speaker cards to speak under the agendized item. So with that, we're very happy to have you here, and we would like to begin today by welcoming Deputy Director Alan Bell. Alan, thanks for being here.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have a brief report in terms of what's going on in the Planning Department, a lot of action. The Mayor released the budget, final budget under the Mayor Villaraigosa for starting July 1st. The good news is that this is a preservation budget. There are no layoffs anticipated in this budget. It retains and carries forwards all the Planning Department's major policy work programs, and then provides additional staffing on the project planning side of the department. So we're very pleased with this department, and are grateful with the support that the Mayor's office has shown the department. There is going to be a first hearing on the department's proposed budget next week, May the 2nd, and then by the Budget and Finance Committee, and then the budget will go into effect July the 1st. Very significant feature of the Mayor's proposed budget is realignment of the department, the city's planning and development functions. This is part of the Mayor's long-term strategy to deeply embed within the city development reform. As you know, we have made a lot of progress over the last couple of years in terms of advancing the development reform agenda. What the Mayor's budget proposes to do is to consolidate within one single Department of City Planning and Development, the Department of Building and Safety, the entire existing Department of Building and Safety, along with the Planning Department, and then also to transfer in a limited number of staff from the Bureau of Engineering, the Land Development Group that works on land dedications and improvements, and then also a limited number of staff in contract administration. Also proposed by the Mayor to transfer in the long-range transportation planning staff from the Department of Transportation, and then also from Fire Department. What we anticipate with this realignment of planning and permitting functions is that it will proceed in phases. The first phase would be to transfer in to the new department the transportation staff, the fire staff, and then the public works staff effective July 1st of this year. At that point, they would proceed a 6-month startup and planning process to integrate the Department of Building and Safety. During this 6-month planning startup process, we expect to have a very robust community and stakeholder engagement process to figure out precisely how the new department should be organized, the different bureaus and different functions, with the idea that on January 1st of 2014, we would have full implementation and full operation of the new department. So obviously this is a big deal. This is an opportunity to bring together all of the city's strategies for development reform, including Build LA, which is the online digital platform for allowing online permitting, and then also the comprehensive rewrite of the city's zoning regulations. We also are going to be going back to the City Council to accept the over $5 million in grant money that MTA has awarded to us for station area planning and then additional positions. That was not included in the mayor's budget, but we will be making a special transmittal to the city council to accept the money from MTA, and then also requesting approval of the staffing positions to continue with the Transit Corridors Cabinet, that major work program effort. The LAX specific plan, we know the commission approved that. The County Airport Land Use Commission also approved the LAX specific plan. It has now been sent to the city attorney for final drafting. The Fund Committee of City Council approved it, and then once the city attorney has finished with the ordinance drafting, then it will go to the city council for final approval. The NBC Universal Plan, on the city side, that entire specific plan was approved, and the Board of Supervisors approved their portion of it. And then finally, the sign unit and the sign ordinance. I know that the commission put 4 years ago a great deal of effort. A lot of progress has been made in the last few weeks in terms of preparing the final revisions to the city's sign ordinance, and we expect to be transmitting that to the back to Plum and the full city council in a matter of weeks. And then also in terms of the litigation issue, in terms of digital signs outside of sign districts, a lot of press about the digital signs that were approved by settlement agreement. Judge Green ordered all of those digital signs to go dark, and they did in fact go dark. So will that ends that particular episode in city history. Now, what the mayor's office also included within the budget, staffing for a sign unit to allow us to process all the different applications for sign districts. So we look forward to continuing to work on sign regulations as laid out within the comprehensive sign ordinance, which we anticipate the council will be approving again within a few weeks. And then finally, there were probably about 30 of planners who went to the Chicago National Planning Conference hosted by the City of Chicago. We took back a lot of great ideas. I have to say, someone who's been attending these conferences for quite some time, it was a very good conference. We got a lot of good ideas, but I would say it paled in comparison with the conference that was hosted by Los Angeles last year. So that concludes my report.
Alan, thank you. I didn't make Chicago, but I'm sure you're right. And let me revisit a couple of things. You've been busy. There's a lot going on. And I think in terms of this reorg and development reform, this is really a substantial issue. One, I wanted to make sure that all the commissioners got the package. Could we make sure everybody gets the package describing the effort? And this is what I think was moved forward by Plum, right?
Yes, they did approve in part the recommendations, the joint recommendations from Building Safety and from the Planning Department Tuesday this week. They will be back on Plum next Tuesday, and we expect that there will be final approval of all those recommendations.
And I would say, just as a comment from the commission, we do know that the focus here is to make things smoother, faster, more economically supportive. But also, selfishly, the zoning, the timing is very good relative to the zoning changes. Also, the urban design opportunities that we've seen for a long time, I think this reorg really supports and helps those, as well as policy issues that are so fundamental to what this commission does.
I think it was impressive in terms of the public hearing, the breadth of support that we received for this particular proposal, both from the business and industry side as well as the residents. Were approval in concept. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting during that 6-month startup process to figure out exactly how the new department should be organized so that we can realize the promise of realignment. It's going to take a lot of thoughtful analysis and deliberation to figure out the best way to organize these functions.
I think that's exactly right. It's a major step, and I'm sure for many, they feel insecure as you start to move forward because it's such a change. I see it as a great opportunity, so I want to thank the department for leading this effort. And one last thing I'd like to suggest is that the $5 million relative to planning is a big deal on the stations. We have 113 train stations we're looking at, and we now, I want to say we're tackling some 30 of them right now. And so this is really important, and we bought the house, now we have to furnish it. And that's how I think this is where that money is really gonna be helpful, is to figure out, how to make these stations a terrific fit with their neighborhoods. Commissioners, any other comments or questions for Alan? Diego?
You mentioned that staff are being so integrated in this new building and safety planning department. You also indicated, did I hear correctly, that there will be transportation
Yes, that is correct.
coming from?
That is correct. So the staff that worked on long-range transportation planning, environmental studies, and traffic analyses, it's the group that is headed by Jay Kim. That unit would be transferred into the new Department of City Planning and Development, again, effective July 1st of this year.
That's a key ability that the city planning department hasn't had, and still has a very weak sort of time of fighting the allocation of resources for streets or transportation projects without an understanding of how they are facilitating or not facilitating a more livable city. It's so critical. So that is a very, very important step.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Diego, and I think with the work we're doing on the transportation corridor cabinet, this is exactly that. How to break down silos, make sure we're doing coordination and coordinate, and making sure that we're doing the absolute best we can between departments, and this is a major step forward for the city. Others? Thank you, Alan. Could I move to City Attorney? Adrian, welcome. Anything to report?
Good morning, Commissioners. I don't have anything today.
Advance calendars, Commissioners. Can you check your calendars and advise us of any predictable absences, please?
This is Commissioner Perlman. James, can you just explain briefly the May 9th, what the plan for that day?
James Williams, City Planning. For our May 9th session, City Planning staff has proposed a tour of the Wyvenwood project. And so basically, staff will give the contact information and address to the tour of this Wyvenwood project, and that's what the commission will be involved in, is taking a tour. The public will be invited to come out and participate in the tour also.
Do we have a time estimate for how long that will run?
At this time, we do not, but we will have that information for you shortly.
Thanks.
This is Commissioner Fury, and just to note too then that we have now added a special meeting that, on the 30th, is that correct?
Yes, James Williams, City Planning. It was a request for us to have a special meeting on May 30th to actually hear the Wyvenwood case in its entirety.
And I would encourage Commissioners, if you can make the tour, I think it will be really helpful. And this is a complicated case. I've been over to the site to look at it, and I think it's very helpful to see it firsthand.
Commissioner Perlman, I do not think I'll be able to make May 30th. I can make the tour.
James?
So noted.
Others? Commission requests?
I want to know, where are we with the mobility element of, and it were we briefed on these, Commissioner?
I believe that we were. I mean, that is one of 3 citywide elements that the citywide unit is working on: the housing element, the health and wellness chapter of the general plan framework, and the mobility element. We're making great strides on the mobility element, and we received funding to continue that particular effort. I believe Ken Bernsing is in the audience as far as he could answer what the precise schedule is on it, but we have funding to continue this into the next fiscal year.
Because there is, the reason why I'm saying this, Bill, is because I think there is some confusion out there, whether it's generated by real confusion or it's being already sort of billed as opposing it, some elements of it. And it's specifically, I wanna note these, and if Claire will call me or.
Ken, could you?
It's specifically the issue that it's kind of being, here is there are great opportunities for increased mobility on the streets that also have buses going on it. And then some people are sort of trying to say that if we do complete streets, that we are going to displace the buses. And in trying to generate sort of a polarized approach that this is not good for science. And then so please, would you please notify Claire to ensure that that's not what we are trying to do with the mobility. Mobility is allowing a greater movement of people in the city, dealing with people, human beings, those that walk, those that take bikes, and those that take public transit, as opposed to saying all of a sudden that this is so please, that's a very, very important.
I think we couldn't agree more. I mean, complete streets is an absolute principle in terms of our approach, in terms of crafting the mobility element. Ken, did you want to further elaborate?
Sure. Commissioners Ken Bernstein from the Policy Planning and Historic Resources Division. As Alan Bell just indicated, we are in complete agreement, and that is very much the approach we are taking with the mobility element. Just to give you a very quick update on where we are. This is still early in the process, and we are still in the process of shaping our policies and programs for the element. We've been out over the last few weeks with scoping meetings on the environmental review for the element. We had a meeting here in the Valley just a few days ago, as well as one downtown. We had a comment period that goes through June 5th on the scoping process for the environmental, and then we'll be taking the summer to fully develop these policies and programs for the mobility element with an eye toward coming to CPC early next year. We'll be releasing the draft mobility element late during this calendar year. So we have already released some preliminary concepts in terms of some of our networks, pedestrian network, transit enhanced network throughout the city, as well as a network of streets that may remain more auto-oriented, but the focus very much is on this type of multimodal complete streets, rethinking of our transportation policies.
Ken, thank you very much. Diego, thank you. If I could move forward the minutes of the meeting April 11th, 2013, do I have a motion? I move we approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
James, would you poll the commission, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Pearlman,
Yes.
Commissioner Freer,
Yes.
Commissioner Cardoso,
Yes,
Commissioner Lesson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving right to public comment, we do have one speaker. Can I invite William Cusman, please? Welcome.
Good morning, thank you. I was here a couple months ago, and I had spoke to the commission about the Old Granada Hills RFA draft proposal. A couple of problems existed. I mentioned one the last time I was here about the city planning notice that was printed in December and sent out. Talks about on the legend preservation area, and then the next nomenclature area is areas of change. I found out from most of my neighbors that when they looked at this and saw preservation area, they thought everything was going to stay the same, meaning that the nomenclature was unclear and subject to misinterpretation. The map in here also does not make any notice of the RFA until the draft posted February 2013, when all of a sudden this shows up. Well, that was, I don't know how many days before the hearing on February 21st, but most of my neighbors didn't go because they saw no reason to go because of the original notice. I'm going to continue to read here. You have a copy of what I have. Your agenda says I have 5 minutes. You gave me 2, so here I go. Faulty public hearing notice. The term preservation area followed by areas of change led one to believe that preservation area meant there would be no changes and the zoning was to be preserved. This was not just my interpretation, but that of over 90% of my neighbors in the Old Granada Hills area. The notice made no mention of the RFA draft or outlined sub-area. The sub-area map showed the Old Granada Hills changes were not printed until February 2013. After the public hearing notice was mailed. No attempt was made to notify the affected homeowners of the affected sub-area RFA before the February 21st hearing. The RFA draft definition says preserving character. May I go on?
No, up to 5 minutes. Bill, thank you. Alan?
You know,
Lisa, is there any chance you can respond to William's concerns?
What we'll do is, the Granada Hills Community Plan is scheduled for the commission for May 23rd. I mean, we'll continue to meet with community groups and stakeholders to address that issue. I mean, we are aware of that issue, and we will continue to follow up prior to the commission hearing to further address and to clarify, the precise regulations for the RFA.
Thank you very much for taking the
Okay,
time.
the agenda said 5 minutes though.
Up to 5 minutes, sir. I'd like to move right on to the first agenda item, please. This is agenda item number 4. If I could call case CPC 2009-837 CU SPE DRB SPP SPRDI ZV associated Sequa. And let me welcome Frank.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioner. Frank Kwan with the LA City Planning Department. I was hearing officer of the case. Basically, this case came before you on February 28th. The recommendation, or the action back then was to continue it to today. There are still environmental issues that are outstanding, and we've yet to resolve them completely. Staff's recommendation at this point is to continue this case until June 27th meeting, and that is agreed to by the applicant in the letter that was submitted to the commission. At this point, we have no other materials to forward to the commission for your review, and would recommend that you exercise continuance to the June date.
If there's any questions on this? Do I have a motion to continue?
Commissioner Freer, I move to continue this item until the date certain of June 27th.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Bob. James, would you poll the commission, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Freer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lesson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cardoso,
Yes.
Commissioner Pearlman,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Item 5, I'd like to introduce case number CPC 2012-3243 ZCVLZB ZAA SPR with the associated Sequa. This is in Council District Number 2, general planned land use. It is low residential, low medium 2 residential, and medium residential. A public hearing was held on March 5th. The expiration date for this case is May 20th. Let me welcome Jay and Sarah. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, Commissioner. Jay Kim, City Planner with the Planning Department. The proposed project involves the development of 131 single-family homes pursuant to the small lot ordinance, as well as 4 traditional single-family homes. A joint hearing was held for the CPC case, along with the small lot draft map from March 5th. Incidentally, the draft map was approved on March 29th, contingent upon the zone change that is before you today. And Sarah Hansel was the hearing officer for both cases, and she presented.
Thank you. Sarah Hansel, Planning Department staff. This is for CPC 2012-3243 ZC, ZB, SPR. The project is located at the corner of Sherman Way and Hazeltine, and it's for the Pine Crest single-family homes. Then it's at the northwest corner of Sherman Way and Hazeltine Avenue. It's currently developed with the Pine Crest Private School, which is an elementary school and a preschool. The maximum enrollment is 600. However, right now they're about half of that. Surrounding uses include multifamily, commercial, single family, and a public elementary school kitty corner on the southeast corner. All properties surrounding are between 1 and 3 stories in height. Again, the subdivision was approved by the Deputy Advisor on March 28th. No appeals were filed. And the project was vetted through the Catherine Square residents, the neighborhood council, the council office, and the Parks and Recs department. Again, just looking at an aerial, you can see to the north, there's multifamily and single family. There's single family to the west and also multifamily on the west. And then to the south, you have commercial and multifamily. And to the east, you have multifamily and commercial as well. This is the house that's on Wyandotte Street to the north, the two-story single-family residential. This is Canley Street, which as part of this project, but not before you, as part of the track map, they'll be extending this to a cul-de-sac and building four additional single-family houses. This is the project, this is to the west along Sherman Way, the two-story apartment that's there. And this is across the street of Sherman Way. You have the two-story apartment over semi-subterranean parking, and then a two-story commercial building and some more commercial at the corner. And to the north, adjacent to the site, is owned by the developer. It's a two-story over on level, grade level parking, which is 2 stories, but it shows 3 stories, so it'll be consistent with the new plan. On January 31st, 2005, the city implemented the small lot ordinance within multifamily and commercial zones. It provides fee simple homeownership opportunities for a greater number of people and different income levels. The project can offer space efficient and economically attractive alternatives to traditional condominiums. And it permits single family or townhome style lots by reducing the minimum lot size, yard requirements, and eliminating requirements for conventional street frontages. Again, the tract was approved by the W advisories, and see this is the tract layout which was approved with 4 single family homes, an extension along Canley, 131 lots on Sherman Way and Hazeltine, and the addition of a park lot on the corner. Originally, the plan was for 6 single-family houses along Canley and 131 townhomes spread across the site with open space within the site, 3 different open spaces within the site. After meeting with the community and the neighborhood council and the council office, the concession was to do 4 single-family homes along Canley and provide a park lot. So this was the approved subdivision layout. And again, more with the lots juxtaposed on the lots. The zoning change that's before you today, the current zoning is R1, QRD 1.5, TR3. They're proposing to change the entire low-medium residential land use designation to TQ RD 1.5. That will remove the permanent queue that is existing on the current RD 1.5 site, which limits the height to 35 feet. And under the approval today, staff has proposed a 36-foot height limit. This allows for pitched or gabled roofs in lieu of flat roofs, which provides better rain runoff and less maintenance for future residents. Again, this is the existing zoning, and you can see that it's just changing the middle portion of the site to be consistent with the land use plan. This is the land use designation. There's 2 variances that are before you today. One of the variances is for vehicular access between less restrictive and more restrictive zones. The project in its entirety is over 2 zones, R3 and RD 1.5. So that's just giving vehicular access for the common driveway accesses and guest parking to be used. The other variances and adjustments are for reduced passageways and building separations and yard setbacks for early start construction. Again, the small lot ordinance permits no passageways or building separations and no yards except for adjacent to other properties, which they have to do within a 5-foot setback along those. I'll let the applicant speak a little bit more on these. Also before you is the building line removal. There's an existing 15-foot building line along Sherman Way just within the R3 zone portion of the property. Small lot again requires no setbacks along street frontages, but the applicant is proposing a 5-foot setback along this portion of Sherman Way for the 2 lots. Staff's recommending a 10-foot continual setback along both street frontages so that there's consistency within their design. This is more consistent with the small lot guidelines, which asks you to look at the area around there, the community and the neighborhood around there, to see what their setbacks are, more consistent with the residential side guidelines as well. Again, if you look at the TR3-1 and R3 at the bottom, you see the little green line. Along here, that's where the building line is the adjacent R1 building. This is the school parking lot currently, and then the rest of the school is built to the lot line. And again, looking at an aerial of it, here's the building line that you're considering for removal today. Site plan recommendations by staff provides, overall, the project was pretty good in the fact that they're going to be providing these single-family homes. However, there was some things that staff had conditioned under the site plan as acute conditions, and I'm just going to go over them briefly. We proposed hardscape showing connections between pedestrian pathways along common access driveways. We felt the 10-unit cluster along the west side of the property in the R3 zone was a little bit too long, so we're requesting a break, pedestrian break in between some of those units to provide better access and a line of sight to the guest parking. To provide a pedestrian pathway between the connection for the pathway between units number 24 and 122 on the site plan. Right now, along the north side of the proposed park lot, there's a pathway. If the park in the future ever decided to come fence that park in, then the lots facing that park would not have access. So we're recommending that that line be moved to the south to provide the continual access to those dwelling units on the site portion with the residential. Also, we were proposing a landscape finger, or maybe 2, to be proposed in between the 10 parking spaces to provide better shade coverage for those parking spaces. And that the emergency crash gates or bollards was put up on for emergency access driveway on Sherman Way to the west of the site, be incorporated into the site design. In your staff report, it's noted as numbers 74 and 75, and so we asked for a correction to take those 14 and 15. And then we asked for raised planters or some kind of design element at the end of the auto courts to shield headlights onto adjacent properties. And that no security gates be put around the property at all that remain open. Again, here's the site plan. If you look at some of the things, I'll go over them briefly. This path here really doesn't connect to anything, so we were asking the path to be brought down in this area to provide better line of sight to the guest parking and a little bit of a breakup between these. Down here would be where the crash gate or the bollards would be, so we just asked that that be incorporated a little bit better into the design. The parking spaces along here, we're asking for a finger just to provide breakup and a little more landscaping within those. And then the landscaping or some kind of design element at the end of the auto courts to shield from headlights coming through to adjacent properties. And then throughout the project, maybe something highlighting the connections between the paths across the auto courts. Other residential examples when this is built, what it could look like. It won't look like this building, but this is just showing a little bit of the paving area where they could show a little bit of maybe the connections between the walkways. This is what maybe it could look like for some of the units, the rows that face each other when they have the pathways down and then their front yard landscaping. Maybe what the street, coming off the street, some of the ones that face the street, what they would look like. I mean, these are smaller lots, they are set closer to the street. And then again, maybe some examples of what these crossing areas could look like within their auto courts to just highlight where the crossing areas are. simple things, if they're gonna be doing the paving stones, they could just highlight the cross areas. This is their proposed landscape plan. In conclusion, small lots are more affordable than traditional family homes. They provide single-family, fee simple lots to people in the community. The vesting tentative tract was vetted and conditioned by various agencies for street improvements, circulation, fire, safety. They claimed a public park for the use of the project and surrounding neighborhoods. The project has community support, and staff is recommending the project be approved as recommended.
Sarah J., thank you very much. Commissioners, informational questions only at this time. Sarah, two quick questions. One, you mentioned security gates. Are there any proposed fences and gates on the project?
There's no proposed fences around this project. There will be a wall between their single family, an 8-foot wall is proposed between their single family portion of their project and the small lot portion of their project.
Got it. And those photographs you showed of landscape and how it could be, those are yours, not the applicant's, right?
Correct.
Other questions? Thank you. If you guys could, Penny, all right. I'd like to invite up the applicant, please. Joel Miller. Welcome, Joel. Are you on? Joel, can you do it in 7 minutes?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joel Miller. I'm with Somas. Our address is 555 South Flower, Los Angeles, 90071. I'm here this morning representing Pinecone Development Enterprises, the owners of PCP Associates LLC, the subdivided.
Joel, you're going to have to, if you could, speak right into the microphone.
Okay, sorry. So what's before you on the screen right now are the entitlements that have been requested, and I think that Sarah did an excellent job of explaining that. Pass over this slide. This slide shows the land use or actually the existing zoning of the property. And I want to superimpose the land use designations from the community plan on here so you understand why there's a need for a zone change. So if you look at the R1 property in the upper left, these will be the single-family fee lots that are part of the trap map, which has already been approved. That calls for low-density residential, which is consistent with the R1 zone. In the lower left-hand corner, the R3 zoning corresponds to medium-density residential. But in the balance of the property, it's planned under the community plan for low, medium, 2 category, which is not consistent with the R1 zone. So that's why the reason we're seeking an RD zone for the center of the property. So the zone change really affects the center, which goes from R1 to TQ RD 1.5. And as Sarah points out, the other segments of the R1 or the RD 1.5, this piece and this piece, also will be rezoned TQ RD 1.5. I'm going to turn the mic over to Lucia Chang.
This one more.
Yes, Lucia is with VTBS, the project architect.
Lucia Chang, BTBS Architects. Here's our site plan, and it is really delineated in accordance with the small lot subdivision regulations. We have more slides later that explain the planning principles, if you would, but just clearly, each one of these homes is a single-family dwelling sitting on its own lot. Here's our landscape plan. This is just an illustration of what this could become. We'll be working on the details with Department of Parks and Rec and the council's office. And I think late last night we got a list of items that we'll be looking into on fine-tuning for the specifics of the park. These are this is the sample street scene on Hazeltine. The intent here is we want to treat each one of these homes as individual dwellings. They will have architectural elements, varying roof lines, for instance, bay windows, the front porch, that's very important, so that each house has its own front door to the street and or the walk street throughout the development.
Let me just jump back in because I think Sarah points out, the developers met with the neighborhood council, Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, Catherine Square Neighborhood Group, as well as CP2 representatives, and here's the community input. As far as density, height, and traffic, no particular issue. But there were issues on the private street off of Cantlay, the orientation of the homes on Cantlay, and the public recreation space. So this is the original subdivision that was approved. I highlighted the areas in yellow and green, so I'll just call your attention to that as I go through the after, which shows that what happened is we eliminated the private street at the request of Catherine Square. We reoriented these lots so they go north-south, and then they're consistent with the homes that are on Cantlay to the west. And then this area here with that small lot subdivision units on them became the 15,000 square foot public park.
Did you lose units?
Yes, we did. We lost two R1 units. We were able to retain the 131 small lots. So.
So yes, there's a lot of writing on these slides, and so I'm not going to read them, but I just want to briefly go through that. The real intent here is these homes will be clustered so that they will be either facing the street and or walk streets within the site. And each home will have a two-car garage, and they cluster around outer courts. So the garages will be facing each other. And I think that Sarah has brought up very good points where we can really raise the quality of the development with the enhancements that we've been working with. Scroll through them really quickly. Okay. Once again, in the planning principles, we want the homes to be individualized. This development will follow the city standards, sustainability, and LA City amendments to Calgary. The landscaping, I think we just work pretty quickly. I think that it's pretty, unless, if you have questions, you have to get it.
I loaded up a number of slides that address the design standards, walkability, and material planning. So let me just conclude with the project justification. The project is in compliance with Van Nuys North Sherman Oaks Community Plan land use designation, so we're not asking for a general plan amendment. It's consistent with a housing element in the regional housing needs assessment for the city. The city's probably going to reach maybe 40% of the reported housing units that are identified in the current housing element, which runs through year 2014. So this project really helps assist and address the needs of housing. It also provides small lot ownership, which is critical. We've met with the stakeholders. We've modified the project to address their concerns. As far as the staff recommendations, we're in total agreement with the mitigated negative declaration and all the mitigation measures. We do have a couple of comments, though, and I'd just like to spend a minute on each one of these slides. One of them, I believe it's condition 4B, which is in this area here. And what the staff is recommending is this lot line, which is to the left of the path, be adjusted to the right, so that the path here is in on these three lots. And really, there's no reason to do that. And by shifting the lot line to the right, it really precludes us from putting in a bay window on this side of lot 24 because the window would be too close to the lot line. There will be a blanket easement over the entire property for access both for vehicles and pedestrians. So really, this lot line location does not need to be moved. So we would ask for some relief from that condition. And then the other conditions relate to this area here. First off, as Sarah pointed out, in the small lot subdivision, there is no setback that's recorded along the street. The 5-foot setbacks are required along the property that's adjacent to areas not in the small lot subdivision, a 5-foot dedication. So we've actually we're showing a 5-foot dedication here. The staff is asking for 10 feet. If we provide a 10-foot dedication, unfortunately, we're going to lose these two lots, lots 14 and 15. And I think that concludes my remarks.
Joel, thank you.
Thanks.
Lucia, thank you. Any quick questions, technical, informational for Joel or Lucia? Dana?
I couldn't see on the map where this proposal for bike parking.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, this is the bike park.
each one of the units will have a 2-car garage, and every garage will be able to accommodate a bicycle as well as 2 cars.
What about the park?
The park, that hasn't been fully developed. The program hasn't been designed yet, so we don't know. We're just starting to work with Parks and Recreation.
Would you be prepared to commit to putting in bike parking racks at the park?
Fine with us if it's fine with them. That makes sense to me.
Thank you both. Commissioners, we have 4 speakers who's on the speaker card. If you could, I'll invite you up in a group of 4. If you could queue behind the microphone for me, that would be great. I apologize in advance. I only have a minute to give each one of you. If you can't get all your information out, we will be as patient as we can be. We are caught on a time crunch today, so thank you for understanding. Could I invite up Greg Blair, Ken, I believe it's Coyle, Dean Reagan, and Caro Terosian. Welcome. Please come up to the stand in any order. Just introduce yourself and begin. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Dean Regan, a neighbor from the Neighborhood Watch, Catherine Square. Just wanted to let you all know that we have met with the developers through the guidance of Paul Krikorian's office. We have gotten a great deal of help from Carol Terosian, and Sarah has also been very helpful. They've come to our homes. We've met with them in the city council area, and so there's been a great communication. We're very pleased about how the plans are moving forward, though we do look to you as lay people to help us with things that we didn't come up with in our concerns. Most of the concerns have been addressed. I would point out that on the PowerPoint, the project density has been one of the issues we've consistently brought up, but I understand the project density for this project is within the Planning Commission guidelines. We're just concerned that we're losing a kind of pastoral school setting and want to make sure that these. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. The other 2 speakers actually have filled out for the wrong item, so it'll just be the 2 of us. I'm Carl Terosian, Planning Director for Councilmember Paul Krikorian. I'm saddened to be here today because we're going to have a loss of a gem in our district. The Pinecrest School has been a gem in our district where, and it's going to be a great loss to lose them. Unfortunately, having had dialogue with them, regardless of the approval or not approval of this project, they're closing their doors because of their financial situation. We would like to thank the developer and the community. Working closely with our office, we've been able to work out most of the concerns or all of the concerns, and we've come out with a project that the community, the council office, and the developer were happy with. We worked out 12 conditions that were in the staff recommendations and also in the track map that was already approved. One thing I would like to note is that the developer is building out and donating the 15,000 square foot pocket park. We've been having dialogues with Recreation and Parks, and they're still working out the detail. They do like the layout and the location of the park, but they're still working out the details of the type of play equipment, the location, their fall zones, and also what they're trying to do is actually preserve as many of the mature trees that are already on that land that's the parkland. So they want to be designing around the mature trees that are already there because that'll provide the shade from day one instead of having the 24-inch boxes go in take years to grow out. That being said, I know that there has been some dialogue about the parking lot at the park, the 10 parking stalls, and having fingers come out. I don't want to necessarily restrict where those fingers are because 3 of the mature trees are within that area, and they still haven't determined the feasibility of saving those trees. But if there's a mature tree there that we can save by putting the finger 1 or 2 stalls this way or that way, that mature tree will actually probably cover the entire 10 stalls with its shade, as opposed to doing requiring those trees to be cut down because the fingers aren't in the right spot. So if, with all due respect, at least for the park section of it, the Recreation and Parks did ask that their commission and their staff be the ones working out the final details of the layout, and I'm available for any additional questions in this process. Thank you.
Great. Thank you to you and the council member for your hard work on this project.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I will close the hearing and public hearing, and if we have questions, staff, can I invite Sarah and Jay back up? Questions, comments? Who would like to start? Dana?
Sarah, Commissioner Coleman, can you address the applicant's comments regarding key condition 4D and the need for that lot line adjustment?
Well, we were just trying to make it consistent, more consistent where access was on the lots that pedestrian access was on connecting lots to the front of the yard. But it being that it is a project in its totality, we are okay with changing condition D just to read that the pedestrian path to the west of lot number 24 shall connect to the path fronting lot number 122. Also, we do have under conditions of approval number 3, it states bicycle parking, that short-term bicycle parking shall be provided within the park parcel. The general condition, but it is in there.
Others, Diego.
Yeah. Commissioners, this is a great project. And you can see how it's well scaled within the community supports it. And they have a great park there. So my suggestion